Hello, and welcome to PeculiarMotion.com. My name is Matt Barr, and I'm going to be walking you through how to create a robot eye rig in Maya. I'm using the 2012 version. That doesn't mean that you have to be using the 2012 version, because I'm pretty sure that most of these tools, if not all of these tools, are going to be exactly the same as 2011 or before. So, let's get started. First, I'd just like to go over what an aperture is. An aperture is a type of device used in cameras behind the lens to let in a certain amount of light. I'm sure you've seen it before in various kinds of media, and I'm going to be making one for you today. So let me just I'm going to make a polygon plane here. It doesn't really matter where I place it because I'm going to be playing with the origin and everything, or excuse me, the pivot point and everything. So I just made this in the front view, and I'm going to go into vertex mode and move this over to the left here. And then I'm going to select the two edges right here and control right click, edge ring, and split. And because I've used this tool, if I select another two edges and I press G, it'll do the same thing again. And I'm going to do it one more time. I'm not going to make this too detailed. I just want you to understand the concept behind it, and then you can make your own robot eye rig. Okay, I'm going to make this kind of arc out and arc back in. Not quite that hardcore. That's a pretty hard arc. I want it to be a little bit softer than that. But the main thing I'm concerned with here is this right here. I want this to cross the origin. There we go. And that's not too bad. And then I'm going to take these two and move them in. And I'll kind of explain why here in just a second, but basically I want there to be a concavity here so that when I'm animating the aperture opening and closing, it doesn't move outside of the eyeball. And I'm going to just make these a little smaller right here. Okay, now if I go to object mode and I'm going to name it Aperture Blade 1, and then I'm going to group it, and I'm going to name this Aperture Center. And then I'm going to select the object, press up to get to the center group right here, and then go to Edit, Duplicate Special. I've already got my settings set up here. I want it to be an instance because if I decide that I want to change anything on this object, I want it to change all of the objects. I want it to rotate 45 degrees 7 times, and that's because 8 times 45 is 360. So when I click apply here, I'm going to get this cool circular pattern. And because it's instanced, if I select one of these and rotate along the Z, oops, oh I forgot a step, I apologize. Just select the aperture blade and then select insert, and move the pivot point down here. This is where it wants to be rotating. Then I'm going to go up into the group Aperture Center and Duplicate Special again. So now if I select any of these, because it's instanced, I've already got the aperture effect I wanted. I don't know if you can tell, but that's doing what I wanted to. So if I just rotate it in the x-axis backwards a bit, this is exactly what we're going for here. I'm just going to rotate it out like 5 degrees right there. And you'll see that it's overlapping, and that's exactly what we want it to do. Now I'm going to select this one. This is the one I instanced, and I'm going to go to Vertex. I'm going to select these two vertices, and here I can affect all of the pieces at once. I'm just going to move this up a bit and cross it a bit more and move it out a bit more like that. There we go, that's what I wanted. And now when I rotate it, I'm going to get exactly the effect I was looking for here, which is this iris opening and closing. Okay. Now, we want to know how big we want this to be, or excuse me, how far we can rotate it. So I'm going to make a polygon sphere, and go back to the front view here. And I'm just going to, right there. That works. I'm going to make it just a bit bigger. Whoops. Scale it up. 1, 2, 3. That's about where I want it right there. And then I'm going to go to zero it out in X, Y, and Z. And then modify. And I want to freeze all of the transformations on it. I don't want it to. I don't want to have any scale value there. And that's just for later on. Like if I were to animate this object, I'm trying to teach you good practices. So let me remove these 3, or I guess that's 4 layers, isn't it? 4 layers of polygons. Excuse me, I forgot to duplicate the sphere first. I'm going to duplicate the sphere. I'm going to delete these front 4 layers. And then I'm going to select it, the original. And I'm going to delete everything but those 4. Oh, come on. I apologize. This video software is making my computer run pretty slow. Okay. And then I'm going to select these. Yeah. I'm going to select these faces here. I'm going to go to Edit Mesh, Extrude, and I'm just going to move it out in this direction. And then go into the front view and scale it in a bit. So get about the effect that we want. Which maybe scale it out just a little bit. There we go. And then I'm going to smooth it. Mesh smooth. And that's the sclera right there. I'm going to name that sclera. Wow. Sclera. Basically, that's just a fancy word for the transparent piece of skin, if you want to call it skin, on the front of your eyeball. I'm going to assign a new material here and make it a blend. And make it pretty transparent, if not fully transparent. And then I'm going to hide this, but before I hide it, I'm actually going to group it to the main eyeball here, and I'm going to name the group left eyeball. This is assuming that I'm eventually going to make a right eyeball. And I'm going to name this outer cornea. I'm also going to delete or duplicate this one more time. And I'm going to select these front faces. Sorry, I want to do this in the side view to make sure I get all of them. And delete them. And then scale it inward. This is going to be the inner cornea. and I'm going to give this a special Lambert texture. I just choose Lambert because it doesn't need to reflect or anything, it just needs to be black. And then I'm going to give this one assign new material, blend, and make it white. This is really simple, and I know it's simple. I'm really trying to show you how to rig, not how to texture, so it's not a big deal. Okay, I'm going to open up this outliner here, and I'm going to put, oh, that's nice. It was already under there because I copied it. Cool. Now I'd want to move the entire eyeball back. And basically the reason I'm doing this is if that's about where I want the iris to be, which in a normal human is pretty far back, obviously, but there's a reason I have to put it back there. If I were to rotate this, see how it crosses out here? But that's about 100% dilation, right? Like, I mean, if we look at it head on, that's about a 100% dilated eyeball. If I were to move this further back to where about a human iris would be, not only would I not be able to cover up these blade edges, but I wouldn't be able to open up the iris very far. I guess I could open it up pretty far, but you know, that's up to you. If you want to do that, that's fine. I'm obviously showing you my method. That doesn't mean it's the foolproof 100% perfect method. Okay, now I'm going to grab this here. I'm going to grab this outer edge. Oops. Come on, computer. I'm going to control right click, edge loop to edge loop, and then I'm going to go to edit mesh, extrude, and bring it in just a bit. I also want to scale it out, and my reasoning for this is if I just brought it straight in, it would kind of look bland. You would think, wow, that eyeball sucks, and we don't want it to suck. So I'm also going to extrude it one more time, and then I'm going to scale it inward and move it back to cover up the blades. I'm going to scale it in a little further here. Let's look at it in the front view and see if I can get it a little bit more accurate. There we go. That's not bad. Could be better, for sure, but not bad. I'm just doing a tutorial, and I've got to kind of go fast, or else I'll run out of time. Anyways, so if I unhide the sclera, since I just smoothed the outer eyeball, then now I can kind of scale up the sclera a bit and bring it back in. I'm not really concerned about the pivot point of the sclera. The sclera doesn't move, so you know, I mean, normally it would be good practice to worry about, you know, freezing transformations on everything that's going to move, but not on the sclera. Okay, so I'm just going to hide this now, since really the whole point of this is to show you how to do the aperture control. I'm also going to wireframe unshaded just so that you can actually see the object maybe a little bit better. Okay, now I'm going to go back into the outliner here and select all these blades. Oops. And I'm going to move them under the eyeball. So now, if I were to rotate the eyeball, well, I've got to actually select the group first. If I were to rotate the eyeball, the aperture moves with it.